Yes, good morning to you all. And how are you? Yes, here we are again, meeting for the third time. And we are going to look at our lesson 3. Before we look at this lesson, or before we look at the content I have for you, of course, briefly, we can remind ourselves of what we looked at last week. Last week, we looked at the problems faced many of the missionaries in East Africa. Briefly, to take you back very briefly, of these are the problems we looked at. I may not actually, look at all the problems we looked at last week, but just remind ourselves. We looked at such problems. You can see them. We looked at they never had written literature, all of that information. They didn't have knowledge about the interior, the geography of the interior. There was hostile Africans. All of these problems we looked at. Okay, and from there now we are going to look at the effects of the missionary activities in East Africa. But now, most cases, when you are told to give effects of the missionary activities, most of the learners instead give us the activities. Look at the activities as effects. But when we are told to look at effects, we are supposed to give the effects of the activities. We are not supposed to talk about the activity. No, actually, we talk about the activities. You talk about an activity and its effect. But in most cases, the learners give the activities. For example, a learner gives me secondary school. Now, someone thinks given an activity. So you look at the effects of the activities. So I believe you've got that one there. And okay. So I think that is clear to you. We look at the effects of the activities, but we do not look at the activities. Okay, so it is better you mention an activity and its effect. So the moment you do that, then you are an excellent student. An excellent student who is going to get all the marks, so long as you've introduced it very well. If it is part A, and when you've concluded very well, if it is part B of the question. So effects now of the missionary activities in East Africa. There we are. There we are. We are looking at effect number 1, which is actually missionary or Christian missionaries while in East Africa reached the gospel, which converted many into Christianity. Now, the activity is preaching the gospel. The word of Christians were converted. So many people were converted to Christianity. Now, that is the effect. I think you've seen that. The activity was preaching the gospel, okay? Then the effect was converting many to Christianity. Okay. Someone was putting up his hand here. I don't know whether you've lowered it. There was a student who had put up his hand. I think you've lowered it. I don't know whether. Okay. All right, going back. Yes, I've gone back to the effects. Yes, so we have said that they preached the gospel, and as a result of preaching the gospel, These people converted many people to Christianity. Therefore, that is in, okay. Kwesiga, I think your hand is up. Okay, Kwesiga. Yes, Kwesiga, you can now, oh, sorry, you can ask.
Sir.
Yes.
Before the missionaries came, they...
Yes. Sorry, Kwesiga, you are breaking. Kwesiga?
Yes, they talk about the Bible. When you go back to this converting Christianity. Now, before they came, yes, before the missionaries came, in the Bible, they talk about people talking to God. Now, before they came, what were the people of Africa believing in?
Oh, before the coming of missionaries, Africans had their traditional religion. We call it African traditional religion. So they believed in their African traditional religion. And they also knew that God did exist. You understand? In their own way, African traditional religion. And the religions were different, okay? So many of them depending on the society. You understand?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay, now I have Joy Lisa. Joy Lisa. Joy Lisa, your hand is up. You can talk. I've unmuted you. Joy Lisa. I've unmuted you, but you are not talking. Okay, who's, I think, okay, there is, when you, okay, Joy Lisa, if you are not asking, please lower your hand, okay? I've unmuted you and you're not asking, but I can see your hand is up. Please lower it if you're not asking. Joy Lisa? Okay, I think I should mute this one here. Okay, now there is Hakimu Bwire, okay?
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, please.
Have just joined. Has the lesson just started?
Yes, it has just started. As you can see on your screen, that is our point number 1.
Yes, I was just asking that.
Yes, it has just started, and that is our point number 1 that you are seeing on the screen.
Okay.
Yes. So Joy Lisa, I don't know what is happening to you. Joy Lisa. Okay. Yes, can you ask, please? Okay, I think I should. Okay, let us go back to our, yes, we've gone back to our information here, and that is our effect number 1. I've told you, look at the activity and then the effect of the activity, but don't just give the activity and then you think you've given the effects of the activity. So this is point number 2, and there it is. Before point number 2, some other, I think you've got, okay, we've gone back. We've gone back to point number 2. There it is. It goes. Missionaries built schools such as Gayaza High School, 1905. King's College Budo, 1906. Ngora High School, 1907. St. Mary's College Kisubi, 1908, and so many others, which improved literacy in East Africa. Yes, we are talking about building schools. We are talking about constructing schools, and the schools, that is the activity. Construction of schools is the activity. But what is the effect now? Improving literacy in East Africa. That is the effect. So the construction of schools improved literacy in East Africa. The people of East Africa could now afford reading and writing. Okay, there is Denise. The hand is up, and I've unmuted you, Denise.
I'm asking now if you're answering like
missionaries built schools such as Gayaza. I also supposed to state the years or the example or the name of the school is enough.
The name of the school would have been enough, but there is a lot of competition. Remember, you are competing with so many students elsewhere. Now, the one who gives the year will actually stand a better chance than you. You understand? So yes, you give a school without a year, somewhere you will be marked, but the other one stands a better chance than you who even gives the year. Is it okay? Yes,
yes, teacher.
All right. Then Achenge, okay, you've lowered your hand. Joy Lisa, you have got issues. Okay, Joy Lisa, I'm trying to unmute you. Yes, Joy Lisa. Joy Lisa. I think Joy Lisa has issues. Okay. Then there is Kwesiga. Okay, Kwesiga. You can ask your question, Kwesiga.
But sir, before they started, I hear that they knew that French was a blessed language in Africa.
French as a language.
Yes.
You could find that in Francophone countries. You could find that in countries that were colonized by the French. But in some other countries that were not colonized by the French, no. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. So there is Serugo. Serugo, you can ask. Serugo Lawrence, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Serugo.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Africans also adopted improved the farming techniques.
Okay, improving the techniques of farming, that is right. We will also look at that point. Thank you for that contribution. It is actually a very good point that you raised. Okay, then there is Derek. Derek, please, you can ask or contribute. Derek? Derek? I'm seeing your hand up, Derek. Trying to unmute Derek. Okay. Then there is another hand up here of Azizi. Okay. Azizi?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I was just asking that when giving the examples, I think if I give 2 examples, one that would be enough.
Yes, 2 examples, 2 to 3 examples, that is enough. Okay. Yes, please. Me here, I always give many such that people can remember. I give you many such that you can have it, an alternatives to choose from. Okay. Then we have okay, there is Trebi. Okay, Trebi.
Sir.
Yes, please.
I was asking, apart from building schools, how did the missionaries also try to improve literacy in East Africa?
Apart from building schools, maybe they could do community work, but it is all through schools. Yeah, all through schools. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then we've got Alisa. Alisa. Alisa?
I have just joined.
Yes, teacher.
Oh.
Teacher, I have a question. Oh, excuse me, teacher.
Okay. Okay. Yes, you can ask.
Yes. Yes, I think the missionaries, they helped in bringing the first printing machines, which helped in education.
Okay, that is very true. That is very true. Printing machines, yes, it is very true. They brought the printing machines here that easy to work, like, you know. So that is very true. Okay, so we've gone back. That was point number 2. Some other people have been contributing. That is very good. Thank you for the contributions. And those who have asked, I think I have tried to answer your questions. A moment from the chat here. Okay. I was requesting, okay, Google Classroom. Okay, they will actually give it to you. Someone is asking for Google Classroom link, I think. Okay, we've gone back to our points here, and that was our point number 2. Remember, we are looking at the effects of the activities, right? The effects of the activities, and number 2 was building schools and how it improved the literacy in East Africa. Okay, that is another effect there, which goes that the missionaries built hospitals such as Mengo Hospital, Zambia, Ruaga, which provided better health services. Okay, so we are talking about hospitals now. Hospitals, construction or building hospitals is the activity, but the effect of constructing hospitals, we are talking about improving or providing better health services to the people of East Africa. We've given the examples of Mengo, there is in Zambia, there is Ruaga, you know. So these hospitals improved or provided better health services to the people of East Africa. Okay, some other hands up here. Angelica. Yes, Angelica. Angelica, please. Angelica, yes, you can ask. Angelica, I've unmuted you.
Yes,
Your
they
hand
built
is up.
churches.
Sorry?
They built churches.
Oh, that is very true. Thank you for that contribution. Yes, they built churches, but that is an activity. Remember, we are looking at the effects of the activities, right? So building churches converted many to Christianity, right? So, okay. Then there is the, okay, Mbowa Beni.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do the effects only include the positive ones, or they also include negative?
Even the negative ones. The negative ones are also there, right? Like a promotion of colonialism. That is negative to Africans. You understand? There were forerunners of colonialism. That is negative to Africans. So even the negatives are part of the effects. Okay. So that one is okay. So I think okay, there is many people. Okay, I also have Evariste here. Evariste. Evariste, are you asking? I'm trying to yes.
What if also you say that they brought new cash crops?
Cash crops. That one is also another effect. Yes. Okay. There's another effect, but how okay, it is an activity, but how is it an effect? How did it affect the people of East Africa? It improved the economies of East Africa. That is the effect now. New cash crops and activity. The effect, improving the economies of the countries of East Africa. Okay. So that is why I've been telling you that we must be very critical here. A question is asking for effects of the activities. Please do not give the activities. Talk about an activity and then its effect. Okay. Oh, so many hands up. We don't have. Okay. There is Jovia. Yes. Jovia?
Teacher, what if you said that they only brought the as in? What if you said that they improved on? They provided better health services.
Better services, like which services? It must be specific here.
And contribution.
Okay, yes, services, we got some services from these people, and I won't deny that, okay? But let us try to be specific. Don't just talk about services, you have to be specific. I will come back to the people whose hands are up. We need to look at so many other effects here, and we might not have enough time for all of the hands up. Okay. Whose microphone is not muted? Okay. Okay, a moment, I'm muting these people here whose microphones are not muted. Okay. Now I've gone back to so effect number 3, we have seen they built hospitals and the health services were improved in East Africa. So we've got this other point here, that missionaries helped to abolish slave trade and slavery, which restored human dignity and respect for life. You understand? We are talking about abolishing slave trade and slavery. Now that is the activity. You understand? But the effect of the activity is restoring human dignity and respect for life. Okay? I believe you've got that point, that they helped to abolish slave trade and slavery, and at the end of the day, there was restoration of human dignity and respect for life. So there is that other effect there, that missionaries introduced legitimate trade, which became an alternative source or means of livelihood. We are talking about legitimate trade. Legitimate trade. Now, the opposite of legitimate trade is illegitimate. You understand? Before we had illegitimate trade here. And what is that illegitimate trade? Slave trade. You understand? Slave trade that was not right. So they replaced slave trade with the buying of goods and then exchanging services. That is the legitimate trade we are talking about. So this one was an alternative source or means of livelihood to the people of East Africa. So many people have put up. Okay, let me first see here. Someone saying, can I start with the introduction, sir? Yes, okay. Someone from the chat is saying, can I start with the introduction, sir? It is very true. Introduce part A of the question. It is advisable to introduce part A of the question, then part B of the question, no. Why? Because you will be giving the same information when you are introducing part B. So conclusion should be on part B. So begin with an introduction. It is very important. And when you are introducing, do not begin with the statements like the effects of the activities we are political, social, and economic. No. That statement might be right, but we are saying if you are to introduce, give us a brief background of the the STEM, assuming they are talking about missionaries. Give us a brief background of the missionaries. That is what we need in our introduction. Something like two, maximum 3 points in introduction, but they should be 2 like that. So there is also okay, someone is saying, what is legitimate trade? The right trade, the trade that is acceptable by the society. Trade that is not acceptable by the society is illegitimate. Okay, so I think I've also answered that one from the chat. Okay, these other people are still contributing. They're giving us yes. Someone is saying, teacher, I thought barter trade was illegitimate. No, barter trade is not illegitimate. Barter trade was actually a legitimate trade. You understand? Exchange of goods for goods. Okay, so I've gone to the hands now. Kasule, you've got a question? Please, you can ask. Elijah.
What if, sir?
Yes.
What if I say
Sorry, Elijah.
They exploited resources.
Exploited African resources.
Yes.
But that was majorly the activity of the colonialists, not the missionaries. It was major an activity done by the colonialists. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Now we've got. There is Joel here. Joel, I can see your hand is up. Yes, Joel, your hand is up. Okay. People are not talking and they are taking our time. Okay, this is now Jordan.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, please.
Can you please pardon for me the explanation for missionaries introduced legitimate trade?
Oh, legitimate trade. Okay, legitimate trade, we are talking about the trade that is acceptable. Trade that deals in goods and services. Not a trade that deals in selling and buying of human beings. You understand? So the moment you buy and sell human beings, that is illegitimate. That is not right. So we are talking about the right trade, the trade that is acceptable. Okay. Yes. Okay, you people, I will come back to you. I'll come back to you. We have gone back to our work here, and this is another effect here, which is the Christian missionaries introduced new languages. This should have been languages. New languages such as English, French, German, Latin, etc., which is the communication in East Africa. Okay, we are talking about new languages, and the new languages is the communication. You understand? So easing the communication is the effect now. The introduction of new languages is the activity. That's why I told you, do not just give an activity that Christian missionaries introduced in new languages, such as English, German, Latin, and then you end there. The moment you end there, you have not given an effect of that activity. So we are saying introduction of new languages, and this is the communication in East Africa. Okay. We have moved to this other point here. There it is, that they introduced new methods of agriculture. Someone talked about this, okay? New methods of agriculture, stroke of farming, which greatly improved in farming yields, okay? Such as mulching, terracing, etc. So the point is new methods of agriculture, and this improved the farming yields. People could now harvest a lot simply because of the new techniques of farming that were introduced by the missionaries. Natsi, I can see Nats Kevi. I've unmuted you. Nats Kevi, I've unmuted you. Yes.
Teacher, eh?
Yes.
What if I say that missionaries introduced formal education, which taught people how to read and write?
Formal education that taught people how to read and write. You are very right, and that is improving on the literacy in East Africa. Very, very right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there is Sozi Kyle. Sozi Kyle, I've unmuted you.
Yes, teacher. I was saying, what if you say that the missionaries introduced new languages which lead to intermarriages of people in East Africa? Is it correct or wrong?
cannot actually say that the marriages, I mean the languages facilitated the intermarriage. Languages, yes, but they did not facilitate. Okay, but connected, they might have facilitated the intermarriage. Connected.
Yes.
Okay? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Then yes, Rebecca. Rebecca. Rebecca.
They introduced vocational activities in East Africa, such as carpentry, which created sources of income to their natives.
Very good. Very good. That is right. Okay. That is such a good point. Thank you for that contribution. Then, there is the Tasha Tracy. Tasha Tracy.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
You said that that they introduced Latin speaking, but there was no country in East Africa that spoke or speaks Latin.
Oh, we don't have that country that speaks Latin, but we've got people that know Latin and that speak Latin. When you go to Catholic churches, most of the priests there can speak Latin. Okay, so we may not necessarily say there is a country that speaks it as its official language, but the clergy speaks Latin, the Christians in the churches. Okay. Yes. Okay, let us first go back to our work because we have a lot to look at. Yes, we've got this other point. If that one is clear, that was all about agriculture. So there is this other point here that missionaries introduced new cash crops such as coffee, cotton, sisal, rubber, tea, etc., which the East African economy depended on which the East African economy depended. Okay, so we are talking about cash crops now. Okay, and the East African countries, the economies of these East African countries depended on such cash crops that were introduced by missionaries. The activity is introduction of new cash crops. The effecting is economies of East Africa benefiting from the new cash crops introduced by the missionaries. So we have this other effect here, which goes, missionaries built roads in East Africa, which greatly eased the transport and communication. Very true, eased the transport and communication, the roads. So the construction of roads is an activity, but the effect is easing communication, transport and communication. I believe that point is very, very clear to you. Then we have this other point here that missionaries built up a number of mission stations such as Rabai, Bagamoyo, etc., that later developed into large towns. Rabai in Kenya, Bagamoyo in Tanzania, and we are saying these mission stations later on developed into very big cities, okay, very big towns. The mission stations are there as churches. Okay, we can have churches in these stations, okay. But of course, where these churches were introduced, where these mission stations were introduced, those areas developed into urban centers, developed into very big towns, okay? And I think Bagamoyo, I think, is the first mission station to be established in East Africa. Around 1870, 18. (1872, 73). Yes, which missionary introduced a new type of cotton. Not one person, not one person, a group of missionaries. Okay. Okay. Then someone is saying, okay, let me see the hands up here. But some other people have already. I think people, when you ask a question and you're done, you lower your hand. Okay. You lower your hand such that you don't confuse us. Some people have already asked here. I think you did not lower your hands. Please lower your hands. But this one has not asked. I have Okurutu, Nathan. Nathan.
Yes. What if I say missionary?
Sorry, you are breaking.
Missionaries introduce
architecture. Yes, that is true. That is true. The construction, the way, the different way of constructing buildings here. Yes, that is true. I have George William. I think George William has not asked. George William, I've unmuted you. George William. George William. Okay. Wow. Okay. Dorcas. Dorcas, yes.
Teacher.
Yes, please.
Which town did the which big town did Bagamoyo develop into?
Oh, it is that area, Bagamoyo, that developed. You understand? That area is the one that developed. There is no town that came up. We are looking at the area where the mission station was established. So that area known as Bagamoyo developed. You understand?
Where is it found?
In Tanzania.
Okay. Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. We have so many hands up, but again, we also have to look at this content. I will come back to you. How we have this content here. That is another effect, and it goes that missionaries promoted the study of African languages, which led to production of literature for the converts. Yes, promotion of the study of African languages. You understand? And we are saying these African languages, the moment the study of these African languages was promoted, then there was also putting down some literature for the converts, because the converts could not read the Bible, okay, in the foreign languages. They needed the Bible translated in their local languages, and automatically the study of the local languages was promoted by the missionaries, which made the converts read the literature, read the Bibles, and understand the Bible very, very well. So, study of African languages, and that promoted that led to the production of African literature, the production of literature for the converts. And the converts could now read the Bible by themselves, not someone else reading and then the other one interpreting. No. So we have this other information here that missionaries created employment opportunities for many Africans. Okay, employment opportunities for many Africans, and okay, which improved people's standards of living, e.g., clerical work like teaching, nursing, and interpretation. Yes, we are talking about creating employment opportunities. Remember, they constructed schools, and in schools they needed teachers. Okay, those were employment opportunities. They constructed hospitals. In hospitals, they needed doctors and nurses. Okay, that was all creating employment opportunities. Then they also needed interpreters. Okay, those that had learned English earlier, those that had learned Latin could interpret to fellow Africans. So I believe that one is also clear. And we have gone to another point here. There it is. And we are saying missionarism spread Western culture or civilization, which highly or which greatly undermined African culture. That one you must be knowing. That the spread of Western culture led to the undermining of African culture. Okay, so they were looking at everything African as a satanic. You understand? Everything African as a satanic. For example, when you come to Uganda, here in Uganda, people were making clothes from trees. They were making bark cloth. So now when they reached here in East Africa, they were like, hey, you are making clothes from, a tree. I think that is a satanic thing, So the way Africans were praising to them was all satanic. You understand? African culture could be replaced or was replaced by by Western culture, and then that is why you see most of us here. Anyway, I will be touching some people here, but of course most of us here don't even want to be referred to by our own names. When someone refers to you as, say, Semaganda, you say, me, I'm not Semaganda, I'm John. Like, you don't want it. So your culture, you feel your culture is inferior. You understand? So the thing is, Western culture, and this Western culture undermined African culture. There is this other point here, that missionaries introduced new technical skills which were acquired by Africans, such as bricklaying, carpentry, crafty, pottery, etc. Okay, introducing the technical skills. That is the point. Technical skills. People could lay bricks now. People could do the carpentry. People could, carry out pottery and all that. At the end of the day, yes, these Africans acquired these skills as a result of the teachings of the missionaries. Okay, as a result of the teachings of the missionaries, Africans were in position to acquire skills. Okay, let me try to see people whose hands are up. I have Adela Treasure. Adela, I've animated you.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, the one who introduced the new seeds of cotton in Uganda is called who?
Oh, the new seeds
and
of
I would
cotton.
like to know the type of seeds.
That is a little bit hard for me. The type of seeds, that is a little bit hard for me. But generally, I will tell you that cotton was introduced here by a group of missionaries, not an individual, a group of missionaries. Yes. So I also have, these other people have already asked, but they have not lowered their hands. Oh, okay. I also have, but some other people have already given us their contribution, so we may not actually go. Okay, I have Abigail here. Abigail, Imelda. Abigail, Imelda. Oh, okay. Okay, people are not actually. Yes, Imelda.
The missionaries introduced new styles of dressing.
Yes, that is also right. New styles of dressing, that is right. Okay. And of course, that could be, or that could fall under culture. Okay. Under culture.
They developed
agriculture, that is right. And we have already mentioned that. Okay, thanks for the contribution. Thanks for the contribution. Okay, we have gone back to our points here, and we have said that missionaries introduced technical skills. So this is another point here, that missionaries also paved the way for the European colonialism. Have you heard? Paved the way for the European colonialism, which eroded African independence. Now there is someone who was like, but teacher, we give the negative effects also. Now this one is a negative effect to the Africans, that the independence of Africans was undermined by the colonialists. But the colonialists were found a soft ground on which they landed, and this soft ground was prepared by the missionaries. Okay, someone sometime back actually posed the question to me that, teacher, I always see this statement here that the flag followed the cross. And I remember answering that person that, of course, they were trying to look at the missionaries coming first with the cross, okay? And they prepared the ground for colonialism. You understand? So meaning that it was the Bible that came first. It was the cross that came first. And then behind the cross, there was a flag, which is colonialism. So the thing is, missionarism prepared the ground for colonialism, which eroded the African independence. How we have this other point here, that missionaries also influenced some local leaders to collaborate with the colonial administrators, which is the colonization. Okay, so we are talking about some local leaders being influenced to collaborate with the colonialists, to collaborate with the colonial administrators. And this made it easy for the colonialists to take up Africa and East Africa in particular. Okay. From the chat here, can you say missionaries introduced religious books in African language? They translated, okay, the religious books into African languages. Someone is also saying, I have just remembered that one of one of the people that came in as missionaries. All right. I think okay, I've gone to the hands now. Okay, people have lowered their hands. That is good. If you've asked already, you lower your hand. Okay, I have Miss Ghana here. Miss Ghana, I've unmuted you. Yes.
Teacher?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I want to ask in that point, you say that missionary introduced new technical skills which were acquired by Africans. In that point, the activity of missionaries were they introduced new technical skills, right?
Yes. It was.
But what was the effect? What was the effect?
The effect is the skills. You get? Africans acquired the skills. Are you getting the point? They taught Africans and Africans acquired the skills. I think that
thanks, teacher.
You're welcome. Then there is Nyombi. Nyombi, I've unmuted you. If you are not asking, lower your hand. Lower your hand. If you are not asking, lower your hand. Okay, Dorcas.
Teacher.
Yes.
You said that they translated the.
Excuse me, sir.
Nyombi has come back again. Okay, let us first hear from Nyombi. Nyombi,
I didn't understand the first part.
Which one exactly?
I've just come online now.
Oh, okay, you will find this information on YouTube, and we are also going to send the notes to you in the Google Classroom. The notes are coming anytime today.
Okay.
Yeah, anytime today, be waiting for the notes. Then there is okay, Dorcas, you were asking. I've come back to you.
Teacher, how did they translate the books from their language?
Dorcas?
Yes, teacher. Teacher.
Sorry? Yes, you were asking. Yes, I can hear you.
How did they translate our language? How did they translate the books from their language to our language since they didn't know our language?
Okay. The explorers that had come earlier had tried to learn these African languages, So they were helped by the explorers to translate the Bible, the other reading materials into African languages. Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Yes. So you can now mute. You mute. Okay, I'm muting you. There is. Oh, but we have. Okay, let us first go back to our work here. I will come back to you as we are winding up. There is this other point here, which is in missionary education produced pioneer nationalists who greatly contributed to the liberation struggles of their respective countries, such as Apollo Milton Obote, Ignatius Kanga Musas of Uganda, Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, Jomo Kenyatta, and Tom Mboya of Kenya. So the thing is, missionary education produced pioneer nationalists. That is the activity, produced pioneer nationalists. But what did these nationalists do? The nationalists fought for the independence of their countries. Are you getting the point? So the effect is fighting for the independence of their countries, but they were products of the missionary education. If it wasn't the missionary education, these people wouldn't have come up to lead fellow Africans in the fight for their independence, which had been taken by the colonialists. Missionary education, political parties based on religion, e.g. DP for Catholics, UPC for Protestants, KANU for Protestants, KADU for Catholics. The other time I talked about this information when we were looking at activities. That is why I may not so much, go into details of this, because we looked at it when we were looking at activities. So we are saying missionaries further produced African elites. So the point is producing African elites. The activity is producing African elites. But what about the effect? The effect is the formation of political parties that were used in the fight against the colonialists. You understand? The activity, producing African elites. The effect, formation of political parties. I believe that one is also clear. Then we have this other, that missionary activities led to divisions that led to death of East Africans due to religious wars between Catholics and Protestants. This is very true. When we were beginning, I think lesson 2, we looked at the Waingereza wa France wars between the Catholics and the Protestants. In these wars, so many East Africans died, lost their lives. So the point is, missionaries are led to divisions, which divisions led to the death of so many Africans or East Africans. We have this other point here, that missionaries introduced the printing press in East Africa, which is the production of literature. Someone mentioned this point, printing press. There is one of us who actually pointed it out, and I thanked this person for giving us this point, that East Africa, that they introduced the printing press in East Africa, which is the production of literature in East Africa. We have this other point here, that missionaries funded chartered companies such as Imperial British East African Company, IBEACO, Imperial British East African Company, and the German East African Company, GECO, leading to the colonization of East Africa. The point is that they funded the chartered companies. And the chartered companies, we've got IBEACO and the GECO, and these ones, now the effect is colonization of East Africa. The activity is funding. The effect is colonization of East Africa by these companies, by the imperial companies. Yes, I'm seeing your hands up and I'm coming. Don't worry, we are coming over there as we are winding up. We have a few minutes to the end of the lesson. And there is Christian missionaries greatly checked on the spread of Islam in East Africa, as many people adopted Christianity. Yes, they checked on the spread of Islam in East Africa. Why? they converted so many people who were being, the people that the missionaries were preaching to, many of them decided to turn on the side of the missionaries, and then they checked on the growing of Islam that was actually at the coast of East Africa, because Arabs had already settled at the coast and they were teaching the people at the coast Islam. We have that other point, that missionaries made efforts to elevate women's status through science. For example, at Gayaza High School, yes, elevating women's status. They constructed schools like Gayaza for ladies to make sure that these ladies are also elevated, are taken to a different level. There is this one, civil wars were greatly reduced in East Africa due to the missionary preaching of loving one another. Indeed, people were ever fighting, but we are saying these civil wars were greatly reduced in Eastern Africa. There is also missionaries introducing a new architecture, someone mentioned it, which greatly improved the living conditions of the people in East Africa. Before, people were sleeping in huts, grassy thatched houses, but now missionaries came in with a different way of constructing houses, which was good for the people of East Africa. We are also looking at missionaries or missionary preaching and how it greatly divided Africans in East Africa along religious lines. So the activity is preaching, and the preaching divided Africans along religious lines. You find a Christian is against a Muslim, you understand? And there is no reason as why a Christian would be against a Muslim getting against a Christian. So that was all as a resulting of the activities of the missionaries in East Africa. Now, I can now turn to the people whose hands are up, and we have a few minutes to wind up. Okay, I've come to the people whose hands are up. I can see Elijah. Yes, Elijah?